Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. Tuesday study the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 18,000 verse epic meant to connect the jiva, the soul, who's wandering throughout the material world as if we're wandering around a foreign city with no GPS, just bumping into things. I can safely say I've bumped into a lot of things in my life, head first sometimes, even stumbled, tripped, or ran into. Have you ever ran into a glass door? Some of the funniest experiences I've ever had. I've been like spinning around and walking right into a glass door. But anyway, that's what the material world is. It's like walking into glass doors, and I'm like, and then turning around, walking into another glass door. If you know what I'm talking about, welcome. You're part of the Dented Cans here. Study the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Tuesday, and welcome back, Kaustubha. He was in Pittsburgh. He's back. Yeah. Welcome back. We're looking forward to hearing about all your experiences. Although we've been talking to you every day, so
Yeah,
maybe you don't have to even go there. But if you're new to the show, we do this every day, and you can join us live. We got about 100. Actually, I've lost my pictures, but we've got a bunch of people here live on Zoom, and you can join us also live on Zoom. You just got to email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and she will send you the secret codes and to enter. By the way, tonight I want to mention we're doing a Sweet Baby Krishna for all our Patreon members. That's when we get together, we wind down the evening. What time do we say we're going to do it, Mara?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. We're reading from the classics, some of the epics of ancient India. Amar Chitrakuta, which is our favorite comic books, and we dramatically act them out. Maybe we can get Patrick Heffernan over today, or Mara. Mara really steps into herself too. She puts on her acting outfit, and she really steps into her roles. I'm quite proud of her.
What will be the story?
We haven't decided yet.
Okay.
The Patreon members, see you there. We always have a great turnout for those, and I think the dramatic readings have really sort of like up the game.
Yeah, it's got me interested now.
You can join us.
Right.
Any announcements, Miss Mara?
Besides our Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 7 p.m., we also have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today. The men meet at 1 and the women meet at 2. And Sage Group sign-ups are filling up fast. So people should sign up for Sage Group if they're interested at wisdomofthesages.com, and then click on the Sage Group and you'll learn all about it.
Right.
Hey, Kaustubha, did you say you were going to give me a present?
Yeah, well, you never came by and got it.
Oh.
Right, you
was writing on the message board.
Your romantic.
Wait a second, I'm not getting that present. I have no time.
You want me to mail it to you? I suppose you want.
No, I just want you to tell me what it is and then mail it.
I'll tell you later.
What is
You're going to be there for Christmas, Raghu, right? In the city?
Oh, you're coming down for? Oh, drop in. You got to drop in and get it.
You can't drop in New York. It's like you got to go
you can.
there. Got to get on a train. What is it? I want to know.
I'm not going to tell you.
It's an
Yeah.
Amar Chitrakatak comic, isn't it? A
I'm not gonna
vintage
tell
one.
you.
I
I'm not
guessed
telling
it. That's it. I know.
you. You're not even anywhere near what it is.
That's what it is.
Okay. If you want to believe that, you can.
All right. All right.
No,
Let's talk. Let's move forward.
do you want to get it? I actually have 2 nuggets here, Raghunath. Do you want to get
Okay.
into them?
Yeah, please.
We haven't vetted these yet.
Okay.
Okay. One is from Bertrand Russell,
Okay. Bertrand Russell.
philosopher.
On Death
and-
and Dying.
Did he do On Death and Die? I don't know that, but
Google that one up, Mara.
yeah, just Google Bertrand Russell. Let's get some
Mary,
more
you gotta
info
be
on him.
on the keyboard. You gotta put the knitting needles down, be on the keyboard and waiting there, anticipating a question.
He's a
Okay.
British mathematician.
But I think didn't he speak
he write a
quite a
book?
bit of philosophy?
All right, let's
Find out
keep
more.
going. Keep
Find
this
out more.
going.
I don't think he's known for just math.
Oh, Kubler-Ross wrote Death and Dying.
Mm.
Bertrand Russell.
Bertrand
All right,
Russell.
go on.
Okay, and then another one is from Sherilyn Chopra, Indian actress.
Heard of her?
You have heard of her?
Yeah.
No, I think there's another Chopra actress.
Oh yeah,
out there that named-
Deepak. I've heard of
Deepak Chopra.
Deepak.
No,
Just
Deepak Chopra. No, there's another. There's another Chopra actress out there.
There's
right
a
now.
lot of Chopras. I think it's like
Yeah.
a caste name,
Yeah.
like a Brahmin
Okay,
name.
but these have to do with
What's she famous for?
Sherilyn Chopra.
Yeah.
She's an Indian actress.
Okay, I thought you were gonna whip off some titles. All right.
No. But both of these quotes have to do with competition, which we're going to discuss a bit today. Okay, Prabhupada's going to discuss today.
Okay.
Competition. Okay, so
Tell me.
this is what Bertrand Russell said. His is kind of like a little darker than Sherilyn's, but he says, now hear me out, Raghunath. Okay,
I'm here.
he says life is nothing but a competition to be the criminal rather than the victim.
Life is nothing.
But now, I'm not saying that like I endorse this, that I think this is entirely right or something, but I'm saying it's a very interesting observation that he perceived life this way. But let's hear it again. Life is nothing but a competition to be the criminal rather than the victim. In other words, we're all like thrown in, we're all on that Lord of the Flies island or whatever,
Sure.
And you have 2 choices, to get aggressive and be the criminal. You're going to cause pain to others, but you're going to be on top, or be the victim, right? Like don't compete, as well as the other and suffer because of it. But those are the 2 categories of that's basically what's happening in the world.
To quote some of the poets of our times,
Yes.
these are the days of the cheaters and the cheated.
Okay.
Cro-Mags,
Okay.
circa
So
1982.
criminal or victim, cheater or cheated, like that's when all I have is this one sentence, right? I don't know the context in which, I don't know if this is actually truly his belief or something, but it's an observation that he shared. An interesting one. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
something
they
worth
eat or
thinking about.
Eat or be eaten.
Yeah. And it makes us think about, because maybe most of us don't think of ourselves as the criminal, but one might have to stop and say, am I the criminal? Right? Like, I might go through life, and I don't want to get judgmental here. Somebody like say even like eating meat, right? Like I may not think of myself as a criminal, but from another perspective, that could be seen as very criminal.
Sure.
Right? To survive, you're causing the death of another when you don't need to. So and that's just one example. I don't eat meat, but there may be many other ways that I end up on the criminal side of that equation rather than the victim side. Okay.
Okay,
So
what does Chopra Ji have to say about this?
She says that, and this is another, just like an observation. Again, I'm not saying. Well, actually, I do believe actually what she's saying is right, and I think it's an interesting thought about life. She says, in the midst of all our emotional upheaval, right? We all go through a lot of emotional upheaval in life, generally.
Check.
Caused by, and here's the thing that she's saying are causing this emotional upheaval: ambition, number 1.
Yeah.
Aggression.
Check.
Rejection.
Check.
Transition.
Check.
Okay. Addiction.
Check.
Limitation.
Check.
And competition.
Check.
And I think these are interesting. I don't know if she just reeled them off, or if she thought deeply about them, but but okay, but we can go back to them. But in the midst of all our emotional upheaval caused by ambition, aggression, rejection, transition, addiction, limitation, and competition, the one thing that remains constant within us is our deep desire to be happy. Okay, so it's like you have all these people thrown together on the Lord of the Flies. I never read Lord of the Flies, but this kid's on
It's a
an
great
island,
book,
right?
and it's a movie too.
But they're all on an island.
They're all on an island.
Okay, so whether
And
we're
they're
in an island,
without parents, and they try to make some order, and they, in order to talk, you have to hold the conch shell. We should get a conch shell. Hey, Raghunath, I'm holding the conch shell. Shut up.
Yes. Yeah, so I suppose that whole thing is an interesting concept to play with. If a group of people are thrown together and there's no law,
Yeah.
how do they? Does it fall into chaos, or do they create some order? And how do what types of aggression take place? What types of submissions have to take place? It's an interesting. In one sense, it's just a very fundamental idea. What's holding us together? Or, what's the difference between, civilization or order and, chaos. Yeah.
Right.
And so she's saying that, both of these quotes are playing with, are bringing our thoughts to this idea. We have criminals and we have victims, even when there's law. We have all this emotional upheaval, even though we all want to be happy. We find ourselves caught in patterns of ambition, aggression, rejection, etc. But underneath it all, we all share something very much in common, is that we all have a deep desire to be happy.
Sure.
Right. And so I suppose this is what civilizations and nations and communities are always struggling with. How can we all be happy? How is it possible for us to? Politicians are getting up there and they're making their promises. Hey, if you vote for me, I've got the formula, right?
Sure.
Where everybody's going to be happy, right? And of course,
right.
Seems like we never quite get there.
Yeah.
But is there a formula where Sherilyn Chopra is saying that we all have this desire to be happy? Well, if we all have that desire to be happy, right? We're all individuals, and yet we all have this desire to be happy. It seems that happiness is something, there's something very fundamental that goes right to our core, that has to do with happiness, right? That is our nature. That's where we're supposed to be. We don't feel good until we're there. Things aren't right until we're there. That's got to somehow arise in us, so we have to find it in some way. But from both of these quotes, it's you're getting a bit of a negative, or sometimes a very negative kind of, it's not working kind of observation,
Because we have all the answers again.
Well,
we have all the answers here. We have all the answers, people. What must we think of everything?
Well, when we read, we're going to
come to.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah.
You want to be happy? We got that answer. We got to figure it out. It's not our ideas. We're not so smart. The 14th chapter, the Bhagavad Gita, you get your consciousness, you get your lifestyle, you get your habits, you get your choices, you get your company that you keep, you bring it to satva guna, the mode of goodness, and you become happy. Doesn't matter what you have, where you live, who you are, your background, how much money you have or what you don't have. It matters. Can I live a life in satva guna? If you do, you become happy. It's quite amazing. It's quite miraculous. We can solve all your problems right now.
Are you happy all the time, Raghunath?
No.
Okay. Because I'm not in satva guna.
Because I'm not in satva guna. I fight it.
Well, it's interesting. You take the difference between sattva guna and rajaguna, and
sure.
Let's say very briefly that these ancient yogic texts are putting forth an idea that there are three influences in nature, right? And wherever we go or whatever we contact is emanating, is emitting, radiating one of the influences, whether it be the food that we eat or the music that we listen to or the colors that we see or the people that we're with or the sounds that we're hearing. It's going to radiate one of these influences, and through our senses we take in that influence, and it can play with our mind.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so the nature of Rajaguna, sometimes translated as the mode of passion, is that we are not content with what we have or the current circumstance, and we feel that needs to change
Gotta
until
move,
we'll
gotta
be
run, gotta
satisfied.
create.
Yeah. Oh God. And that's really, where competition really sets in, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I need that to be happy. Well, someone else needs that to be happy. Well, there's only one of them. One of us is going to get it.
Let's get it. I gotta get it first.
I got to get it first. So that's it's a simplistic explanation, but it is kind of the essence of what Rajaguna is, right? I'm ready to compete to get what I don't have so that I can find satisfaction. Whereas Sattvaguna is saying I can be content without the externals changing, right? Like, in one sense, what you're saying is like you'll be happy when you get to Sattvaguna. It's not. It's almost not. It's not that I have to transform anything except my own attitudes, right? Like, actually, I don't need that to be happy. Like, two people are competing for the same object to be happy. The person in Sattvaguna it's not that he gets the object. It's just that he's saying, I don't need the object to be happy.
Sure.
Right. I don't need more money. I don't need. Yeah.
We know the story of the great, it might have been Alexander, who was conquering parts of India. And he finally came to the bank of the Arabian Sea, and he saw the sage sitting there in peace, total peace. And he was sort of like shocked by seeing this man sit so peaceful in meditation. And he had troops with him and armies with him and artillery with him and dragging, cannons behind him. And he said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Sitting here in peace." He said, "The question is, what are you doing with all this stuff and all these people?" He goes, "Well, I've just conquered northern India." He said, "Okay, and then what did you do?" "Oh, then I went down south and we conquered the eastern part of India." "Oh, really? And then what are you going to do?" And he kept, "No, we're going to move forward and we're going to move our troops and we're going to surround these kingdoms and take over this." And then finally kept on pushing me. "Well, then what are you going to do?" So the sage is questioning this, powerful warrior. And he's saying, "Well, then next, what are you going to do?" And he goes, "Well, then I'm just going to relax. He goes, "Well, my friend, why don't you sit here and relax with me right now? I haven't conquered anything and I'm just relaxing right now." We don't have to do so much stuff to relax. Relaxing's right in front of us. We've created a life where we think I got to work my butt off just so I can relax. Crazy, complicated treadmill, Nordic track that we cannot get off.
Interesting. Now we'll read I think we'll reread the last verse that we read, and we can read Prabhupada's commentary, and we can go deeper into this.
Get off the treadmill, Mara. Write that down. How about that? Get off the treadmill.
Okay. The gerbil thing. What do they call it? The
hamster wheel.
Yeah. All right. You ready to get started?
Om Namo Narayanam Namaskrityanam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Madhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Tam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Hey, we forgot to plug Happy Girl Kitchen. Give the gift of Bhagavad Gita and jelly this season. happygirlkitchen.com. Wisdom of the Sages gift box. 10% off with the code WISDOM.
Smooth.
Getting smoother. I want to be like one of those radio anchors or radio. Hey, this is Raghunath here. WKPT. All right. What chapter are we on, Mara? Talk to me.
Canto 4, chapter 30.
30.
And did you want to go into text 13?
I want to go
Christopher?
back to 13. That's where we ended,
Okay.
but we hadn't read the commentary. Do you remember what was happening here, Ragana? It's a few days back.
Are you joking? Joking me? Do I remember? I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago.
So we the Prachetas, these brothers, mystic yogis. I think there's 10 of them, 9 or 10 of them. They were coming out of the water. They had been doing their meditation, and Lord Vishnu was addressing them, and he was pleased with them that they were cooperating so well together. That's what he actually. It plays right into the same theme. It's like, in other words, he was pleased that they weren't living in a world of criminal and victim. Rather, they were living in a world of cooperation, right? And that pleased Lord Vishnu. And then now when we get to text 13, he's giving them an order what to do next, and it has to do with a very unusual story about a sage and a heavenly society girl. Right? Sounds like interesting item. And the child that the two of them have, the daughter that they have, he's asking all of these Prachetas, all these brothers, to marry her. So let's pick up at text 13.
O son of King Prachini Barishat, the heavenly
Sons.
society.
All of them. Oh, sons, because it's a whole
Oh,
group of them.
sons, right? Of King Prachini Barishat, the heavenly society girl named Pramlocha kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Kandu in the care of the forest trees. What? When she went, I'm hoping it'll make more sense as I read on. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara named Pramlocha with the sage Kandu.
Okay. So it's an interesting. We called, she's been called here a society girl. We got into that a little bit last week.
The definition was an it girl.
An it girl.
We did the Urban Dictionary. We did.
Yeah, and we shared a story. I don't think we ever completed like that story, or even when I thought about it, I think we never maybe shared the point of it. But we talked about when Arjuna went to the heavens.
Oh yeah, and he met Urvasi.
And Urvasi kind of came on to him romantically.
He was like, "What do you think?" She's like, "You were staring at me. Now I'm staring at you." And he was like, "That's because I'm related to you." I was just like, "Oh, happy to see you, great grandmother."
No,
And
she wasn't his grandmother.
No, she was like,
but
anyway,
but
she was related to him in an elderly way.
Yeah, well, because, and the way that I remember it, because she had a romantic, dealings with Arjuna's father, Indra. So Arjuna said, "When I see you, I can only see you as my mother." And now here's the point that I don't know if we ever got to last time. She said, no, you don't understand. Here in the heavens, the same kind of morality and rules and all that, it doesn't operate the same way here. It's a completely different system, right?
Right.
And you can take advantage of that now. You're here with us. You've elevated yourself up to this higher station where the laws that you're talking about down there, they don't operate here. This is perfectly dharmic. It's perfectly okay. There's no problem at all with it. And Arjuna was like,
Arjuna was like, no, not going to happen. By the way, I found out this. Merritt, take note here. Look what I did here. I Googled. I went to google.com.
See, you're teasing.
She tried enticing Arjuna, but he showed restraint out of respect, since she had once been married to his ancestor, King Pururava.
Oh,
and
okay.
hence Arjuna considered her as a mother figure.
I stand corrected.
Imagine if some like ancient woman from like some picture on your wall came on to you. I mean, because you got to think all your great grandmothers, they were young beauties at one time, and therefore so he's meeting her in a place not bound by time, and so he's like, well, I'm looking at you like a mother. Come on, and she's saying, well, those rules don't relate. But he was like, well, they relate to me.
And she was not used to any type of rejection like that.
No.
It didn't sit well with her, and she cursed him, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why am I bringing that up again? Oh, yeah. So anyway, So
Interesting story, isn't it?
yes. So this heavenly society girl, she's similar to Ravasi,
Okay.
and she's from a world where they openly have these romantic relationships, and they move around and so on. So Indra is looking down at the Earth planet, and I think it was Earth, maybe another planet, I'm not sure. And he's seeing this sage Kundu, and Kundu is performing austerities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Indra knows this truth. Here's the secret, right? That when you perform austerities, you get power,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when Indra, it's really this is a truth, a nugget of wisdom that's repeatedly shown in Bhagavatam that you won't find in the earlier books like the Vedas. The earlier books in the Vedas are encouraging you to live a very saintly and dutiful life, a life of generosity, a life of kindness, a life of duty, a life of respect, a life of gratitude, in order to elevate yourself up to a position up in those heavens where you can enjoy life and cash in on the credit of piety that you've created, right? And
It's
that's how Indra got where he's at, right?
Yeah, it's like a timeshare, or it's like getting lots of points on your Capital One card or something. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna upgrade to first class. I'm gonna be staying at the
Four
Taj,
Seasons.
Four Seasons at the Taj.
Yeah. So you'll find those kind of teachings, which would be considered kind of like a first step towards spirituality, in like the four Vedas.
That's
Now,
exactly what it is. I'm going to use this analogy more and more. It's
Okay.
like points. It's like you
points.
you get enough points, which is your punya, which is your
Yeah.
pious activities,
Merit.
and then you get to go to the Taj, or you get to go to the
Yeah.
Four Seasons, or you get to go to first class, and it wears out.
Yeah,
If
that's
your
what the
punya
Bhagavad
wears
Gita is
out,
going to
and then
remind
they bump you
you.
back to coach.
That's right. You come back down. So now Indra, he's achieved he's got the most points, right?
Yeah.
He's achieved the position of the ultimate top level guy, the ultimate enjoyer, you could say, of pious merit. And even though he's got all that, and what we want in this world, Raghunath,
What do we
I
want?
mean, it's just so compared to what he's got, it's so measly. Like, what will drive us crazy and what we'll strive and compete for in this world?
Right. What?
Like, I want that girl. He's got like heavenly damsels, like you just can't imagine. Their beauty is inconceivable in this world. Wealth. We just want like that car. You can't imagine. He's got this elephant that's like fully, like
Forget your Tesla Model X, whatever. He's got an elephant, a flying.
Beautiful home. We can't imagine. He's got it all, and yet still, he's in anxiety that someone's going to take it from him. And right, so this is a point that Bhagavatam's driving home, is like, hey, move beyond these earlier Vedic teachings. There's something much more to that. It will not grant you what Bhagavatam starts off with, right? Atma Suprasidhiti, complete satisfaction of the self.
I'll swirl you here,
All right.
because it's in my mind and I can't get it out. Have you ever been bumped up to first class?
I have,
for some reason of points. And you they just call, and they call you up there. Okay, you can go to for Mr. Kappa. You can go to first class, and everybody's sort of looking at you like, you don't belong up here. You don't belong up here. How did you get here? You're not one of us. And then you take on this mood of first class, like, close the curtain, get out of here.
One time I was taking an overbooked flight from, or was it overbooked, or in any case, a flight from, it was probably from Delhi. It may have been from Mumbai, to probably England, but it passed through the Middle East. It passed through, Jordan. And, all of these Muslims, they have this life's mission to visit Mecca. And so there was like, somehow I got bumped up to first class. A lot of people are getting bumped up to first class. I think they overbooked the other, the coach or whatever.
Where are you going with the squirrel, Kostuma?
You started it. But there's like these Muslim, like just full on villagers, who had never flown a plane in their life before.
Really?
And they all got bumped up to first class, with me.
Why is that so funny?
Well, because they weren't even sitting in the chairs, like they were kind of like squatting on the ground and everything. It's like that. Like it wasn't what you normally see in first class, but they were just like, for them, first class was just like any place else. You kind of squat on the ground and you hang out.
Is that the story?
It's a story.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
I was sort of like that villager. Like,
Yeah, right.
okay.
Okay. So now we have Indra looking down at this sage Kundu, and he's performing intense austerities. He, through the merit of his austerities, he could take over my position.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to nip it in the bud, right? I'm going to break his vows of celibacy, right? I'm going to send down
Okay.
the Heavenly Society girl Pramlocha, right? To what's the word? Seduce him, I suppose.
Seduce,
right?
Yeah.
And so now Prabhupada takes this purport in an interesting place. He's going to comment. Let's set aside the idea that they have this child and the society girl just wants to zip back up to the heavens, and she leaves the child apparently very irresponsibly.
Yeah.
Here, trees, take care of my child. Now, how the trees, who they were, how they were able to care for this child, and eventually we'll find out the trees are kind of like, we need some help, but maybe it's just a way of. We'll read about that later. But what Prabhupada focuses on, which Bhaktivedanta Swami focuses on here in the commentary, is Indra's attitude, right? Indra's mentality that even though, right, he's got so much, he kind of won the competition, he's still worried, right? That this Kundu may come and take what I've got. So why don't you read the commentary?
Okay, a 14.
13.
13.
13. Okay, thank you guys. Text 13. Whenever a great sage undergoes severe austerities for material power, the king of heaven, Indra, becomes very, very envious. All the demigods have responsible posts for the management of universal affairs and are very highly qualified with pious activities.
Right, that's the merit that they gained. They were dutiful,
Points.
they were generous, they were charitable, they were kind, they were,
Right.
they did all the ritual, to express all the, and they got those points you're talking about, and they came up and they took on big level responsibilities on higher.
And Indra gets a little jealous.
Yes, that someone may take over my spot.
Although they are ordinary living entities, they are able to attain responsible posts like Lord Brahma.
What does that mean?
Ooh,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
What?
I was just going to ask, what do you think he means by ordinary living entities?
Meaning like regular conditioned beings of the material world that decide, you know what? I want to think big. I want to make. I want to climb this ladder of success. It's like a material endeavors to climb big in this world using, Vedic tools for,
So they're like
wealth
us
and influence people, just sort of like us. We want to get out of I'm sick of working the 9 to 5. I want to make it out of the rut. I want to become successful. So there's a Vedic way of doing that, but they're seeing the big picture, not just of this lifetime. They're seeing their soul is eternal and say, you know what? I want to actually be able to leave this body in this lifetime or after this lifetime and promote to these, vacation resorts of heavenly planets, the Caribbeans of the celestial bodies.
So they're like us in the sense that we call it Jiva Tattva, right? Like they're like us, that they can, like, for instance, Mara may have been Lord Brahma in a previous life. Raghunath may have been Indra in a previous life, right?
Yep.
I may have been Varuna. It's possible.
Varuna?
Maybe because those are posts, right?
Yeah.
When we say Indra, it is referring to a person, but it's kind of like saying president or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's just like in a factory, you have the CFO, you have some higher level management, and you have some, guy on the assembly line. So we're ordinary guys on the assembly line on a low grade planet Earth, and we're just trying to have some fun. And then if we get a little insight into how the celestial world works, you can say, you know what, I'm going to apply some of these mantras and tools and meditations to build abundance, to build good fortune, to build success, to build beauty, stuff like that. And then the idea in Vedic text was, and you can rise to higher levels in management.
Okay.
And you can get those rewards.
It comes with a lot of perks. Yeah, it comes
There's
with
a lot of perks in those careers.
Okay, please continue, Rogan.
All right. Although the ordinary living entities are able to attain the responsible
Although they
posts,
are ordinary living entities.
thank you, like Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, as is the nature of this material world, the king of heaven, Indra, is very anxious if a great sage undergoes severe austerities.
It's kind of like this, Raghunath. Like when your band was like kind of like the #1 happening straight edge band, right?
And then along comes Earth Crisis.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, they may take our spot, right? Did you feel that? Did you feel a little of that?
Of course it is. Of course there's envy. That's the material world.
Okay.
Material world means you get to a position and there's all these people over you. And you're thinking, if I could only, by the way, I did it in the world of music, but everyone in the workplace has one of these ways
Fears,
where
competitors.
competition and envy. And sometimes when you're at the very bottom, you're the happiest because you feel like I can only go up from here. And so you're sort of like, how can I climb? How can I climb? How can I climb? And in my world, I remember being like in that new band. And then all of a sudden, I'm playing over bands that I used to look up to, and they're opening for me. And I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. I'm
went
feeling
right past him.
empowered.
I
But
elevated
that band
higher.
might
Yeah.
be feeling envious, like how dare that? Who do they? I remember when those guys came on the scene, or
We
whatever.
gave them their break.
We gave them their break, and now who do they think they are? And then, of course, there's the new guy coming up for your position, you know.
Right.
And so there's fear when there's a great appreciation for like, hey, I've made it this far. And there's a fear that someone's going to kick you off that pedestal and you're going to lose that position, right? That happens in the corporate world all the time. The underling, the person you're training up, all of a sudden is vying for your position and they want your position. And you're like, I gave this guy everything. That's the way the material world works. It's like a weird, sick bird pecking
Lord of the
order.
Flies.
It's like Lord of the Flies.
Okay, now you're thinking like Prabhupada. We're going to continue here. The whole material world.
The whole material world is filled with such envy that everyone becomes afraid of his neighbors. Every businessman, what? I just said this.
So I'm telling
Every
you.
businessman is afraid of his associates because this material world is the field of activities for all kinds of envious people who have come here to compete with the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That's
so true.
That's the fundamental thing. We're all, in a sense, competing with God, trying to take that central role.
It's not just the guy or the band or the position that's right above you. We're actually trying to compete with God.
And
When we do make it to the top, then we want to see how can we like conquer another company and we take over that entire company.
Yeah, and Krishna's like, you don't need to compete with me. We can love each other, and you're going to get full bliss. And no, I want to see what your position is like. All right, then you get thrown onto the island of the Lord of Flies. And everyone's competing to try to be Krishna in a sense. Everyone's competing to try to be the center. Everyone's competing to try to be the focus of adoration, the focus of worship,
Right.
And you're fighting it out. Okay, please go on.
Mm-hmm.
Thus,
Indra was very much afraid of the severe austerities performed by the great sage Kandu, and he sent Pramlocha to break his vows and austerities. A similar incident took place in the case of Vishwamitra. From other incidents in the Shastras, it appears that Indra has always been envious. When King Prithu was celebrating various sacrifices, outdoing Indra, Indra became very envious, and he disturbed King Prithu's sacrifice.
You remember that?
Yeah,
We read that earlier. 4th canto, right?
Yeah, he doesn't like it. I mean, that it's common with anybody who's successful.
Yeah.
They're fearful that someone's good. And if they're not fearful, you should be, because someone's going after your spot. Someone's going after your wealth. Someone's going after your position. You better be on the cut. You better be on the, or throw your hands up and say, you know what? This is all Krishna's.
Yeah, right. There you go. You see, in that case, what Prabhupada's bringing up here, King Prithu, he was performing this his 100th ritual, which involved the reviving. It was, what do we call it, a horse revival
ceremony.
Rejuvenation.
Thank you, Mary.
Horse rejuvenation. I
You-
love the positive spin you put on
That's
that.
horse
Horse
rejuvenation.
rejuvenation festival.
That's it was a horse. It wasn't a horse sacrifice. It was
It
a
wasn't
horse
where they kill a
rejuvenation
horse
festival.
and throw him into a fire. No, it's a horse rejuvenation party.
So the idea was an old horse would be put into the fire and would come out in a new rejuvenated body. It would be like come out as a new horse. And so Indra to achieve his position had done 100 such ceremonies, and Prithu, for the good of the people, right, to bring good merit to this kingdom, with nothing but good intentions to serve, he was about to do his 100th. And Indra said, if he does 100, he could take over my position. Indra came disguised, not only disguised, he came disguised as a sadhu, right? He put on the saffron cloth of a celibate monk, right? Even though he's like the ultimate heavenly enjoyer.
Right.
And he stole the horse, took off, and Prithu's son caught him, chased him down, brought him back, embarrassed him, and they let him off the hook.
Yeah.
And after he'd been humiliated in front of everyone like that, Indra did the same thing again. He got caught twice. So he became completely doubly humiliated. You achieve the very goal of materialism, and still you're getting not only humiliated, double humiliated, making a complete fool of yourself, right?
Sure.
Okay. So let's continue. This has already been discussed in the previous.
It's been a gift. It's been a gift from we said this the other day, our parents' generation. It's been a gift from them that they had that ambition to get out of the quicksand of poverty. And that was sort of like, all the immigrants that came to America, they were just working their asses off just so we could have a better life. And then, we're like, what's the big deal? We're not that attached, but it's the gift of our parents, because they were just like, we just got to save ourselves because we're going down, and we came from poverty. And so we have that luxury now to even indulge in spiritual life. Whereas a lot of times it was in that generation, it was just sort of like, how can we survive? How can we survive? How can our children survive? Right, Mara? You heard those Grandma Terry stories.
Yeah. Good morning, Rue.
Good morning, Tarun. All right. He's got a new shloka under his belt.
Nice. Okay, you want to complete the commentary?
Yeah. When King Prithu was celebrating various sacrifices, outdoing Indra, Indra became very envious, and he disturbed King Prithu's sacrifice. This has already been discussed in the previous chapters. King Indra became successful in breaking the vow of the great sage Kundu, who became attracted by the beauty of the heavenly society girl Pramlocha and begot a female child. This child is described herein as lotus-eyed and very beautiful. Being thus successful in her mission, Pramlocha returned to the heavenly planets.
But she wasn't ready to take care of a kid. Right?
Yeah.
She had more enjoyment to do up there.
Yeah. Leaving the newborn child to the care of the trees. I wonder if that means abandoning the child. Okay. Fortunately, the trees accepted the child and agreed to raise her.
So it wasn't.
When someone, let me ask you a crazy little question here.
Yeah.
When someone's got lotus eyes,
Yeah.
does that mean their eyes are like the lotus, which are pointed at the end, like that? That what we mean by lotus?
Like
or are
a
we
lotus
just saying
petal?
lotuses are beautiful and therefore they're beautiful?
I think probably both.
Like, how do you picture? Like a flower?
I
in
picture
their eyes?
both. No, in other words, I think symbolically the lotus is like it's a symbol of beauty. So by saying lotus, it's just saying beautiful. But I think it can represent like the shape of a lotus flower or a lotus petal.
Lotus petal makes sense. Okay.
But it's not, like a closed lotus. But let's try to understand who this Pramlocha was. She was a person who in a previous life had accrued great pious merit, right? She had many points, and therefore she was awarded a position in the heavenly planets with a body of unbelievable beauty and freedom to go and enjoy it.
It's
Right?
like platinum status, gold status on United.
Yeah, it was earned. It was earned, and in that realm also, like we said, Urvasi said, those same rules don't apply. Like the same rules of morality don't apply. And also, from what I've heard, that the result of the sexual union in the heavenly planets is that when they have a child, it's instant. It's like they have a child. It's not like you go through 9 months of pregnancy. You just have
No,
the
you're
child.
not in the tub having
Screaming your
contractions.
head off.
The baby comes right out. There is no, yes, there's
And
no
not-
contractions. It
and
just
not
comes
only
out.
that, but that the child immediately, becomes an adult, and it requires none of the. It's enjoyment without the responsibility, right? You earned the responsibility in the previous life,
Mhm.
and so you don't have to struggle to raise that kid, and it doesn't have to impede your further enjoyment. Now, so she came down here, had a kid instantly, and she's not ready to. But somehow, because I guess she was on Earth, it was like it was born as an infant and didn't immediately, or maybe because it was half earthling, half heavenly goddess, it had to be raised, this child. She's like, I'm not prepared to do that, right? She's not at all. It's not built
It's
into
not-
her at
yeah.
all. So she's like, well, okay, I'll live with
She's
the
not a
truth.
homemaker.
Yeah, so she went back. But so here we go, Raghunath. We heard a commentary that where Prabhupada he was just kind of like sharing, this is how the material world works. This is what material consciousness is like. It's like Bertrand Russell is saying, you're either a criminal or a victim, right? You got to get
Right.
aggressive in order to get, because the resources are limited, right? At least that appears, at least we become convinced of that, right? We become
Mhm.
convinced that the resources are limited and we need to compete to get them to be happy. And there's this tension or polarity between, like, say, competition and cooperation, right?
Mm.
It plays out politically, like where the right is more, they speak of the virtue of competition, right? Like,
Right.
free market competition is good. It brings, and there's some
Brings out
truth in this,
and it
right?
brings out the best and
It brings, in terms of creativity, yeah, in terms of like an individual achieving their highest, achievements,
potential.
their highest potential. Yeah,
It's when it comes to
competition
like
breeds that.
crushing and smothering and taking out the
Right.
competition.
And whereas the left speaks more about cooperation, right?
Mm.
Let's hey, we all need to cooperate together to make this work. A vision of competition always leads to suffering. Let's
Stuba joining the political parties.
let's
Finally, there's peace.
well,
in
my
this
point
world.
is that there's truth in both ends, right? There's truth in both ends. So the difficult thing is to master the balance, right? To strike the right
Mhm.
balance, and that goes back to what we were sharing, that I think we shared over the weekend, where Braj Bihari shared with us that there's certain things that can be solved, certain problems that could be solved, and there's certain polarities that need to be managed, right? And so I don't have much patience with political people that speak of right or left, like as if they are the pure, these are definitely the answers, and the other side just
Right.
doesn't get. No, it's about striking a balance between competition and cooperation.
I like this. I like
Okay.
this.
But there is this tension between competition and cooperation. But when let's look at our kind of spiritual model, right? I mean, from my understanding, like Prabhupada is pointing to, he's saying something here. He's kind of indicating that we don't have so much ability to cooperate well here. When we're thrown on the island, we don't all get together and say, how are we going to make this work for all of us?
Mm-hmm.
Fear sets in, envy sets in, and we compete and become callous. And often we prefer the position of criminal over that of victim, right?
Mm.
And Sherilyn Chopra, she's kind of saying, hey, look how we operate here, right? We have ambition, right? That's the mode of passion you're talking about, right? I need something to be happy. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get it, right? It leads to aggression, right? It means, like, aggression, there's like the implication that, like, I'm ready to step over you to get what I need, right? I'm ready to be a little callous or to get a little hostile if I need to. And then she mentions rejection, right? Now, like, you used to be my friend, but due to the nature of the circumstance here, I reject you. Then she mentions transition. I don't know how that plays in, but addiction, limitation, competition. These kind of things that are not, they're not necessarily wrong, but because we're engaging with them against one another, we tend to hurt one another.
Mm.
And so so there's what's presented in Bhagavatam is that there is a model that works. There's a model that's based on truth, and there's a model that's based on illusion. The model that's based on illusion is that there are not enough resources for us. We all won't be happy until we're the central enjoyer. Let's fight for the resources.
Mm.
And the model that's based on truth, according to Bhagavatam, is that there is no scarcity, right? Everything is coming from this divine source, and our very purpose is to cooperate in loving service and reciprocation with that source, right? And even and these other things like ambition, like even competition, they can play out in a beautiful divine way within that model, right? Like you and I can compete in our love for Krishna, to please Krishna, to please that source, and Krishna can reciprocate with us both fully, and neither of us will feel any lack, right?
Mm.
And even our competition with each other can bring out our full potential in that, right? But without all of the negative implications that come when we try to place ourselves in the center.
I like this.
Like
I
that.
like this. I like you.
I like
It's 7
you,
o'clock now.
Okay, Mara.
Rolling into Tuesday, Mara.
I got some good takeaways today.
I drove my car on completely empty yesterday. I got into the car. It said 2 miles till empty. My gas station is 5 miles away.
I
Made
saw
it.
the little thing you posted about that.
It
Shall
was
we go
really-
back to takeaways?
Yeah, can we go back to
Yeah, sure.
Material world is bumping into glass doors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Examine if we're on the criminal side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Am I a criminal?
Criminal.
Recognize we don't need more for happiness.
We don't.
Depends what it is.
Eggnog.
Relaxing is right in front of us.
Relaxing is right in front of us.
Contentment, we could say, right? Contentment. Is right in
Contentment.
front of us.
Yes. Yes. What do I
Uh,
have to accomplish? What do I have to do to be content? It's right here.
Yeah. It's right here.
Get off the treadmill.
Get off it.
Or get on it too.
Raghunath needs it.
Get on it. I gotta get on it. You can get off it.
Move beyond collecting credit card points for Atma supercidity.
That's right. There's more to life.
There's more to life, but I do want those points. I do want to change that status.
When you're number one, you're always in anxiety.
Yeah. Raghunath
Mm.
knows. Right? No, you had the number one straight edge band there. Yeah. Felt that pinch.
Had it.
Strike a balance between competition and cooperation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Compete in your love for Krishna.
Yeah, we can
I
do
will.
that.
I'll crush you. I'll crush you.
All right.
And
And-
don't sleep with your great great grandmother.
yeah, that's
Oh my God. Mara.
unless
she wants to.
you're in the heavens. She wants to. Raghunath.
Oh my God.
Why do you have to keep taking it to these areas?
I didn't write that. Mara did.
No, but you said unless she said don't do it, and then you opened up the door to it, Raghunath.
It's if she wants to do it,
Don't do it.
do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do that. Hare Krishna. Oh, come on. I didn't want to end like that. Bring it higher, Mara. Say something positive and uplifting. I don't want to think these thoughts. My mind was placid, clear, clean, light.
Material world is like Lord of the Flies. How about that one?
Nah, I don't
Live
wanna
a
end
life.
with that either.
Let's
Give me something positive and
It's scary.
uplifting.
It's dark.
First thing in the morning.
live a life in satva guna for your happiness, Raghu.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I can
That's
do
better.
that. I can
That
do
better?
that. Thanks for joining us, everybody who joined us late. Clarissa Vanderbrod, welcome. Lisa Tuttle, welcome. Savani, thanks for joining us today. Chris, good to see you. You want to join us live? You can. Email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And hey, tell a friend. This thing grows organically by you just talking to friends. Telling friends, oh, blow up Maturananda. He's got something going on here.
All right, let's see what he's got.
Do you listen to the show, Maturananda? You just sit there and make memes all day. He's like, I do both.
Oh, this is good.
I blow this.